Hello there, and thank you for joining me at my tying bench once again. In today's tutorial I'm going to tie you up a dry fly, and this is a version of the humpy fly. You've probably all seen the humpy tied in different, usually underneath the hump it has floss or just thread bodies. Right. This one I used hare's ear dubbing underneath. I call this guy the hare's ear humpy. It's a nice high floating attractor dry. And I thought you might like to see this guy tied up this time around. So get him a device here, a new hook in, and I'll get going for you. Now the hook I'm using, I'm going to tie him on a size 14. I tie them from a 12 down to a, you can tie them down to a 16, but it gets a little tricky down to those smaller sizes. But I'll tie this one up on a 14 for you, so I'll get that hook locked in the vise here. Okay, and I'm using Danville 6/0 Flymaster Black for threads. So what we'll do now is just start that thread right behind the hook, and we're going to wrap back about a quarter way down the shank here. Then I'm going to come back up halfway onto that and stop my thread, and that's where I'm going to tie in my wing. That point right there, halfway. Okay, now for the wing is white calf body hair, and I already have some in the stacker here, and I'll just even the tips up here on that, and I'll get that out of the stacker. Okay, make sure that stays evened up here. Just get some loose hairs out. Alrighty, now we'll tie that on top here, and like always I want my wing to be about hook shank length, and we'll just move that ahead, come up around with a pinch loop, and pull straight up, come back down one more time, and then I'm going to wrap back 3 or 4 snug wraps, just like so. Okay, now I'm going to lift that butt ends up on an angle, keep my scissors straight, just give that a cut, so we have a little taper there. Okay, next I'm going to bind that down towards the back here, then I'm going to come back up to right behind the wing, and I'm going to lift up on that hair and come in front, and I'm going to dam that up with a little bit of thread so it'll stand that wing up, just like so. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to divide that, and a little trick that I use is to take my thumbnail and push down on that. Usually that'll split that wing so it's divided in pretty much equal bunches. You may have to adjust a little, but that's pretty good right there. So I'm going to come up with a crisscross wrap and divide those. Make a little X wrap between them. Check and see if I'm happy with the amount. Okay, I think I want a little bit more on this side, so I'm just going to pull a few more fibers off of that side. And then we'll continue. Okay. That's good right there. Then I'll come up again with the cross between the wings, and I'll make a couple X wraps just like so, and that's what we got so far. And then I'm going to come up and do some figure eights, go around that far wing, down around the near wing, back up around, same thing again. I'll do that twice. Then I'm going to go behind the wing and pull straight down. That'll lock those figure eights in place, and then I'm going to make 2 crisscross wraps between the wings. 1 and 2. Okay, that should have those wings locked in there and they're nice and snug so they'll stay divided. And I'm just going to carry my thread back to about where the barb is there, and stop our thread there. And there's our wings divided. Okay. Alrighty, they look good to me. So next thing I'll do, I just got one uneven hair there. I want to snip out of there. There we go. A little drop of head cement down between the wings. I always do that. It never hurts. Helps keep them in place. If I get a drop to come out, there we go. Alrighty, now the tail on this guy is moose body hair, and I have some in my other stacker here, and I'll just even that up. And I'll get that out of the stacker here. Okay. Okay, and you don't want too thick of a tail on there, just enough to help hold the fly up. Don't want to overdo it on it. Just going to trim the ends here. Okay, we'll measure that up about the body length here, and we'll bring that in, tie it in on top. Just come up around with the thread. Alright, then we'll wrap back. There's our tail, right on top where we want it. And just going to bind that down a couple wraps forward. Then I'll lift up on those fibers and trim them so they meet the wing butt ends there, right where I tied down the wing. Trim those. And we'll bind those down with nice snug wraps going forward. Okay. Alrighty, so there's our wing divided and our moose body hair tail. Now next, I'm going to tie in the hump version of the humpy, and I'm using some tan colored elk hair instead of deer hair for this. So I'm going to pinch off a small bunch here. You don't need too big a amount. Just going to pull out all the fuzzies here, and I'm going to trim the ends. Okay. Alright. Okay, I'm going to tie those in. Tie this elk hair right on top here. Come up around with a wrap. Another wrap, and then hold that elk hair up as you wrap back, and that'll keep it straight and right on top. Just hold up on it as you're wrapping back, right to the tail there. Okay, and I'm going to check that. Just fold it over, make sure it's where I want it. I actually want to come back about 2 more wraps onto that, so I'm going to make 1 and then 2, and that should be good. Now snug that down good. Okay, just check that one more time, that's fine. Alright, now for the underbody, I'm going to put some dubbing on the wax here, or excuse me, some wax on the thread. Okay, and I got some hare's ear plus dubbing here, just natural hare's ear with a little bit of Antron blend. I'll dub up the body, get that noodle started here. Okay, we'll put that on, see if we need more. I'm just going to hold up on the elk hair like so as I wrap back. Okay, and I'm going to come back, make sure I'm back far enough on that. Then wrap forward. Just going to double check, looks fine. Okay, we need a little more dubbing here. So I'll dub some more on. Okay, just a tad bit more. This should do it, I believe. So we'll dub this up here. Okay, that looks fine. Okay, now what we'll do next is take our elk hair and we're going to fold that over and just sort of keep it tight, and bring your thread up around. Just watch your wings so you don't tie down your wings. And we're going to cinch that down there with a couple of snug wraps. And I'm going to check. Looks good on both sides. And what I like to do is lift up on the elk hair, and I'm going to wrap through it this way. Take the wraps forward, lift up a little bit each time. That'll make that much more secure that way. Alrighty, that should be fine. Now come in nice and careful like and trim that elk hair out. Just be careful of your wings. Okay, a couple more hairs there. Alright, then just bind that down with some snug wraps. Okay, so our last part to do is our hackle, and I'm using some brown furnace hackle here, and I have one sized up for 14. I have that prepared, so I'm going to tie that in with the dull side facing rearward, And I tied in on about a 45. So I want that. Just like so. Alright, now wrap towards the wing. Then I'm going to jump in front, carry forward, wrapping that stem down. And that's going to lock that in there nice and secure. Several snug wraps there, back to the wing and then forward again. Alright, and I'm going to come in and snip off that hackle tip stem, just like so. Alrighty, there we go. Now we're ready to wrap our hackle. Everything looks good there. The wing got a jar on me there a little bit, but that's okay. Okay, next step is to wrap our hackle. So we'll start to wrap here. Make that first wrap right in front of the hump there. And I usually like to try to get 3 to 4 turns behind the wing and 3 or 4 in front. So there's 3 behind. Now I'm going to jump ahead of the wing and I'm going to graze right close to in front of that wing with the hackle, close as I can get it. There's 1 wrap. Okay, just keep that going straight. Now I'm going to come up around with 1 more wrap and tie this guy off. So 2 wraps behind him. And I'll get a couple in front of them as well. And I'll come in and snip that off. Just like so. If I can get him there. There he is. Alrighty. Okay, I have a few hackles there that didn't get tied down, so I'm just going to snip those guys out. Okay, there's 1 and 2. Alrighty. Yeah, let's make a couple more securing wraps there. Okay, there's our hackle tied in, or excuse me, wrapped. So all we got left to do now on this guy is a whip finish, and he's a done deal here. Nice thick full hackle on him. Okay, so what I'll do next is do a couple half hitches here and then a whip finish. So come in and do a couple half hitches. Nice and tight, and then I'm gonna come in and do a whip finish here. Get 4 or 5 turns on them. That's fine. Okay, snug it in nice and tight. Snip off that excess thread. Oops, there we go. Just dropping a couple things there, folks. Yeah, I just see 1 fiber there I want to trim. Okay. Well, there we have it. Another size 14. Here's your humpy. Just a little different take on the regular humpy. Thought it was a pretty cool looking version. There we go. Anyhow, like always, I hope you enjoyed this tutorial this time around, and if it's your first time viewing and you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. I'd appreciate that a great deal, and throw in a like too if you wish. And like I always say, until next time, happy tying out there, stay safe, and I shall see you again soon, and so long for now, folks.